United Nations WFP reports increased food insecurity in Yemen amid aid suspension. Food insecurity on the rise. The United Nations World Food Programme WFP conducted a food security assessment, revealing that over half of households in Yemen now face challenges accessing adequate food. This concerning situation has been primarily driven by the suspension of humanitarian assistance. In January, the WFP observed a significant deterioration in food security, with 52% of surveyed households unable to access sufficient food. This marks an 11% increase since November 2023 and a 6% rise compared to the previous year. Critical situation across regions. Both areas controlled by the internationally recognized government and those governed by the Houthis are affected. However, the northern regions are experiencing the highest levels of food insecurity in 16 months due to the pause in humanitarian food aid, inadequate food consumption and coping strategies. 18 out of 22 provinces reported inadequate food consumption, surpassing the very high threshold of 40%. 55% of surveyed households are resorting to extremely negative food coping strategies, indicating a 6% increase compared to the previous year. Challenges persist despite increased imports. Although there has been a rebound in fuel and food imports in January, uncertainties remain due to ongoing tensions in the Middle East and North Africa region. Rising shipping and insurance costs along the Red Sea route add to the complexities. Close monitoring is crucial, especially considering the WFP's pause in food assistance. In the northern areas, cost of minimum food basket. In government-controlled areas, the cost of the minimum food basket rose by 3% in January compared to the previous month and year. This increase is attributed to higher transportation costs due to elevated fuel prices. The suspension of humanitarian assistance in Yemen has been primarily the reason and cause for this widespread food insecurity. The suspension of humanitarian assistance in Yemen has been driven by several factors: conflict and security concerns. Yemen has been embroiled in a protracted civil war since 2014, leading to widespread violence, displacement, and instability. Ongoing hostilities and security risks make it challenging for aid organizations to operate effectively and safely. Access constraints. Restricted access to certain areas due to conflict, checkpoints, and military operations impedes the delivery of aid. Humanitarian agencies face difficulties reaching vulnerable populations, especially in regions controlled by armed groups. Funding shortfalls and donor fatigue. Limited funding from international donors affects the scale and sustainability of humanitarian programs. Donor fatigue, coupled with competing global crises, has resulted in reduced financial support for Yemen. Bureaucratic hurdles and political interference. Administrative challenges related to obtaining necessary permits, visas, and clearances delay aid distribution. Political interests and power dynamics sometimes interfere with aid allocation and implementation. Geopolitical tensions and regional context. Yemen's location in the Middle East adds complexity to humanitarian efforts. Regional rivalries and geopolitical tensions impact aid operations and funding. Despite these challenges, humanitarian organizations continue to work tirelessly to alleviate suffering and provide essential assistance to the Yemeni population. However, the suspension of aid exacerbates the already dire situation, leaving millions in urgent need of food, healthcare, and other basic necessities.